Some people call it shadow work, some people call it spiritual bypassing. So I'll just blend the two words and call it shadow bypassing because it's pretty much the same thing. So what is shadow work? 2020 has called everyone, the whole world, to do shadow work. And shadow work is basically your shadow aspects, your hidden aspects, the aspects of you or the sides of you that you do not show to the world. It is parts of you that you have shunned, you have avoided, you have repressed, aspects of you that are not acceptable to your family or society. It can be emotions like anger, rage, sadness, greed, perversion, kinks. It could be sexual orientation. What is spiritually bypassing? It is skipping, avoiding, rejecting, denying emotions or a state of being. So what usually happens is when people start rejecting these aspects within themselves, they point it out in other people and they start blaming, shaming, complaining, judging other people for displaying or expressing or showing these aspects. So they may harshly judge those who are judgmental and think that they are better. They may hate the haters and think they are better. They may bully the bullies and think they are better. But it doesn't make them better, it just makes them feel better. Because people assume when they are judging someone else, then they're free of being that way. So they don't take responsibility, they're not accountable, they're not owning that aspect within themselves. We don't accept or celebrate greed, yet greed is the shadow aspect of success. And success is something that we celebrate, we encourage. We love success, right? Yet greed is the shadow aspect of success. We don't accept or celebrate controlling and owning other people. Yet that is the shadow aspect of many relationships and marriages. Sure, people don't go into relationships and marriages wanting to own each other and control each other, but that's what tends to end up happening. We don't accept or celebrate narcissism. Yet narcissism is the shadow aspect of extreme fitness and cosmetic surgery. Narcissism is also the shadow aspect of social media. Yes, our intention is to connect with others through social media, but it ends up being very narcissistic. Narcissists are easy targets. Pedophiles or pedophiles are easy targets. People love to hate certain groups of people rather than looking at what's underneath, what is causing them to be that way, right? Instead of looking at, well, a narcissist and a rapist are really traumatized people. A pedophile or a pedophile has a brain that is wired very differently to the average so-called normal brain. But we don't want to look at why people are that way. It's just easier to condemn them, blame them, shame them, judge them. Because as long as we have someone to condemn, then we can make ourselves feel better. We can feel like we are holier than thou, and that we have, and that is spiritually bypassing and skipping the shadow work within ourselves. Jumping from one relationship into another, into another, into another is a form of spiritual bypassing, because you're not allowing yourself to process, you're not allowing yourself to heal, and you're not allowing yourself to deal with anything. It's avoidance, right? Which leads into addiction. And we all have addictions. It's not just about cocaine and heroin. It's not just about substance. Every single one of us have some kind of addiction, whether it be addicted to social media, or addicted to your thoughts, or addicted to sadness or frustration or anger or rage. I live in a society where people force themselves to be happy all the time, or they pretend to be happy all the time. Being happy is just an emotion, and emotions come and go. And if we were to be truly present to the moment, your emotions would change depending on who you were talking to, what you're eating, the information that's coming in, whatever you're doing. It changes from moment to moment. But people feel obligated to be happy all the time. Yeah? Everything's amazing, right? Love and light to everything, everyone. And as you know, the world is not full of love and light. We live in a binary universe. If you grew up in a violent household, if you grew up in an abusive environment, you're going to experience anger, you're going to experience rage, despair, depression, sadness, and even suicidal tendencies. You're going to feel revengeful, right? You're not going to wake up, you may not wake up happy. You may not feel safe in the world. You may not trust people. As long as you shadow bypass, or spiritually bypass, or you don't do the shadow work, you're not going to love and accept yourself, because you're not integrated. You're not accepting or integrating all aspects of you. The good, the bad, the so-called ugly. And when we don't have an understanding of all of our aspects, it is very difficult for us to accept it in others. And the more you judge someone for their shadow aspects, the less you understand it or accept it within yourself. Which means there's a lack of integration. Condoning something is not the same. Saying, I understand why this person is behaving the way he or she is not the same as saying, I'm okay with how you're behaving, right? Understanding something is not the same as condoning it. And we get to work on being okay with who we are, because we're not just one thing, right? One person might look at me and say, oh, she's so confident. That may be true. Another person may look at me and say, she's very insecure. That may be true. Another person may look at me and say, oh, she's so bold. That may be true. And another person may look at me and say, she's very shy. That may be true. Another person might look at me and say, she's so brave. That may be true. And another person may say, she's so fearful. That may be true. It's all true, because we are everything. Everything exists inside of us. And this makes me think about a workshop that I took one day, and this person said, oh, I could never kill anyone. I could never imagine killing anyone. That's just terrible. And the teacher said, really? Never? You can never think about hurting anyone, killing anyone. So what if someone broke into your home and slaughtered and murdered your entire family? You wouldn't think about being violent, or the killing wouldn't cross your mind, right? So my point is, we love to make out that we're better than everyone else, and we're holier than thou, and we're perfect people, right? But we're not perfect. And we need to stop putting people on pedestals, because that implies that they're perfect and we're not. It creates separation. They're better than us. They're perfect, they're special, I'm not. You know? Superiority complex and inferiority complex are two sides of an ego trap. So if you have a huge ego, then that speaks to having a superiority complex. And if you have an inferiority complex, that also speaks of having a huge ego. And I know that there is a lot of violence, not just in America, all around the world. There are protests and riots. And it's very easy for, us, those of us who consider ourselves to be light workers and healers and whatnot, it's very easy to go, oh, Martin Luther King be rolling in his grave, this is not Gandhi's teachings, and, we just want peace and love. But how can we possibly expect world peace when we ourselves are not peaceful? Within you, within me. If I am not peaceful within myself, how do I expect the world to be peaceful if the world is a reflection of me? And to be totally frank, turbulence and violence has caused change in history, right? Again, I'm not condoning it. I'm not condoning violence. Anyone who knows me knows that I too live my life very peacefully, harmoniously. My relationships are peaceful, harmonious. I have a very harmonious, peaceful home, right? But look at history and how changes have occurred. It's through shadow work. It's through violence and turbulence and chaos and drama. And I'm not saying that we should aspire to live like that. But we do live in a binary universe. So, make peace with all aspects of yourself. Accept yourself. The good, the bad, the ugly.